Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Everyone that's joining live, anybody does want to join live on our Wednesday night Zoom, you could join our WhatsApp group. You could email me at rabbizitron@torahanytime.com. Happens to be that I have to look into it because I believe that there's a way that I could, in WhatsApp, and I have to look into it, that I could tell you like what to type in, and then it will take you directly into the WhatsApp chat. Like it will add you in there. It's like a bit URL or something like that. So Emir Hashem, I have to look into that. If anybody knows how to do that, please reach out to me. And this way we can just say it makes people a lot easier. They could sign on. Okay, 2 announcements. Number 1. Torah Anytime reached out to me. Ruben, actually, from Torah Anytime reached out to me, one of the founders, and asked me that if I could announce it, that if anybody knows, wants, will be open to even training for, to do clips. So clippings, he asked me specifically for my classes, but I'm sure it'll be beneficial for every speaker. So basically all the daily doses that go out, they do a fantastic, phenomenal job, but they need people to clip the classes. So I don't have any. I used to have somebody clipping at one point, but that no longer is happening. So if anybody does want to clip my class or any other class, please do reach out to me, and I will direct you with Ruben or with the Torah Anytime team, and they will. It's a fairly simple thing. They'll add this feature on Torah Anytime, and then it's a huge chus, especially if it gets out to to go with the daily dose, or even if it just becomes a clip. It's a huge chus. I would greatly appreciate it if anybody's up for it. That's announcement number, 2. Announcement number 3 is just a reminder regarding the Me'emasai program that we spoke about last time. That's the learning the Mishnayos. For the goal is to have everybody learning collectively and making a Siyam Mishnayos every single day, and it's going to be in the schus of couples that are struggling with infertility. So a huge schus from all angles, from learning, from the schus of what hopefully we'll be able to build a new family, just schus them all around. It's very simple. Takes you 30 seconds to sign up and less than a minute to do every single day. And that is to sign up. You go to me'emasai.org, which is MEIMASAI.org. No, it's a little bit difficult in the spelling, so I'll just say that one more time. MEIMASAI.org. So this would be a good, a huge opportunity to do something great, and it's not going to take up a lot of your time, and you're going to be helping a lot of couples, with Chosim, to be able to go and to start a family. No, it's it's ME. I'll post it. I'll post it in the chat to make it to make it easier. But yeah, the thing is a little bit tricky. We did buy all the other similar names, so even if you make a little bit of mistake, it should take you to the right place. Okay. Anyways, now let's get started. So this class, a bunch of different topics that are flying everywhere. So really, the fourth chapter of the Hayashar. One of the phenomenal things about doing a series on the Hayashar is it gives me the opportunity to speak about a bunch of different topics. Usually, and this is just my personal, my personal method. Whenever I am going and I am learning to whatever the topic is, I try to really get really deep into it. So it takes me time to get to different topics. But when I'm doing the Hayashar, I'm doing a bunch of different topics, and we're jumping from topic to topic, so we're able to touch upon it. And that's why we're not doing it in a way that I'm sitting in and reading it, in Hebrew and then reading it and translating in English. But I'm basing off the foundation of the topic is going to be on the Hayashar, and then we branch off into other topics that are going to be fascinating, that was fascinating, and very, very interesting and very informative. So when you go to the fourth topic of the Hayashar, people generally go through it, really quickly. And even when I learned it, the first few times, it was like, okay, fine. I went through it, fairly quickly, because it speaks a lot about Chiddushim. Chiddushim is like novel insights, meaning that you make a new insight into the Torah. Now, it doesn't mean a new insight that you just make it up, because that will be a fake chiddush, a fake insight. But it has to be based off true foundations. There's an order to the way that it works, and it has to be substantiated. It has to be supported in the Torah text. So when you're reading this chapter, you think, okay, it's more for speakers, it's more for rabbis, but really this is a phenomenal chapter, a phenomenal Perek that speaks, like levels and levels, and I would like to uncover at least some of those levels with Hashem's help. So the way that we're going to go is going to give a little bit of a background, get a little bit of background about speakers, about making speeches in public, and then we will get into the importance of Chiddushim, which is the novel insights, the benefits and the detriments, if the sorrows, the horrors, the difficulties that come out by fake Chiddushim, and then we're going to speak about the open Orthodoxy, which is just a great example in this particular. It's not a great thing; it's a great example for this particular thing, and we'll delve into that B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, so we'll start off with the Pele yoetz. So the Pele yoetz has and this every speaker should do, but people should also learn this in general, even if you're not a public speaker, and even if you're not a Torah lecturer or if you're not a rabbi, it's still very important. When someone goes and gives a speech to many people, there's so many benefits, from it. Just looking at in our day and age, especially if you post something online, especially if you spread it out, the potential that it has to affect the numbers in the thousands and tens of thousands, and for some people in the millions, eventually. So this has the ability to affect so many people. And the fascinating thing is that the way it works in Shemayim, in heaven, is the more, if let's say you have the ability to affect 1 million people, the reward is all that greater times 1 million. If you have the effect, and it's not only the people, it's also the people in their generation, their children afterwards, everything has a compounding effect and a compounding interest of what it comes in vis-a-vis the reward or the punishment if you're benefiting the public or you're harming the public. So one of the things, as an example, is public speeches, but it could be anything: giving, donating to an organization, helping an organization, spreading out an organization, spreading out a Torah speech, whatever it is. Like, the uses of it is endless for the end user, even somebody who's not a public speaker, even somebody who is not a rabbi. And the potential has unlimited roads that it leads down to. So the Pele yoetz brings down a few conditions when somebody goes and gives a speech. A person has to daven. A speaker has to go and pray. They have to daven before the speech. They should be saved from arrogance. And also that their words should produce fruit. There's some people that speak and then there's nothing comes out from it. You could listen to a speech and then you come out and be like, I gained like zero from it. It's something you need siyata d'shmaya. You need to have help from heaven that it would produce the fruit. The Pele yoetz also says that a person should pray that his or her words should have clarity. You have some people that they speak and they prepare a lot, and it just doesn't come out clear. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't flow, and you come out leaving very confused from that thing. So it's also something that's very important to daven for, that it should come out with clarity. It should come out also with pleasantness. It shouldn't be something that's very accusatory. You can't go give a speech and make it very accusatory because people put up the defense. It's not going to last. Pele yoetz also says something very interesting, common sense, but also very interesting, that a person should not be verbose. You should not go on and on a topic that, not even on a topic, on a speech. Just, you have to get to the point. Sometimes less is, in fact, better. And I remember when I first started speaking, I used to speak for a really long time, and I used to speak faster than I speak right now, and I used to just put in a ton of information in every class. And I remember this was changed literally by one person. One person came over to me after the class and be like, speaking fast, everyone tells me about that. That's a separate issue. But they said, you spoke about so many different topics that, I'm leaving the class, but I don't know what I'm taking, so many different things. And from that one person, that I learned that you have to, what's the point? What is the end goal of the delivery that you are, you're giving over? Everybody has to know their audience. Everybody has to know who they're speaking to and what they're speaking about and what they're dealing with. And like especially when you're putting things online, it's catered. It has to be catered in a different way. Most people, when they're listening to this online, they're not necessarily sitting down at a desk and sitting with a pen and paper and listening to the class. They're doing other things. So it has to be interesting. It has to be entertaining. It has to have the point come across very clear. What's my takeaway? What am I going to change for the better? There's a lot of factors that come into play. The Pele also says that a person has to be careful that they don't speak just for their own benefit, and they shouldn't. And if they do, let's say it's a rabbi of an organization, they come and they start speaking about their organization, and they speak about length, about donating to that organization, or being charitable to the Torah, whatever it is, like something like that. It's not good to be lengthy on it for a speaker's own benefit. Additionally, a person also always has to make sure that they review the speech. They go over with it and they review it and they go back and forth. And I can't tell you how many times when I prepare my classes, so I have all my notes, and then I shift it around, and then I shift it around again, because I'm like, maybe it's going to be more clear in this method, and maybe it's going to be more clear in this method. Just like, you have, a person that says, like, did you read this book yet? And be like, no, I read the original already. All this is just a remix. Says, what's the original? The original was the dictionary. I read the dictionary. Now this is just a remix, so I don't need to learn it. But when you mix around the words, it comes out very differently. The point comes across very differently. You could say the same speech 5 different ways, and each one will come out bringing a different point. And it depends on what you emphasize. It depends on what order you present the information. There's so many levels, and it's tremendous amount of siyata dishmaya that has to come out clear, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the ability to be able to put it in the right order and to be able to present it in a clear way, a way that's a person's able to accept. It's pleasant, it's coming across nice, it's coming across clear. People are enjoying to listen to it, people are enjoying to absorb the information. Not everything has to be enjoyable. Again, some classes are a little bit more harsher, a little bit more difficult, a little bit more, stronger on the musar, which is also fine. But it has to be something that could be acceptable to the population, to be able to learn and grow from it. And in fact, the Pele says that sometimes you're preparing a lot. Sometimes you have to skip a part. Sometimes a part is not appropriate for your audience or not appropriate for what you're about to say, and you should skip it. So, what's the purpose of me telling you all these things that the Pele speaks about? Besides that, it's amazing information, because we learned from this that a lot of planning has to be done. There has to be a lot of forethought. There's a lot of planning that happens when you give a public speech, or when you speak to other people, and when you're presenting some information. There has to be some sort of thought process that goes into play. And the Pele says that that when a person speaks, they shouldn't really speak from memory. They should speak from their notes, because memory can bring you to arrogance, and we'll soon see why arrogance comes up so much. And memory, if you speak from memory, could cause someone ayin hara, could cause a person to say, "Oh, I don't know if the person knows what he's talking about. It's just saying it from memory," so on and so forth. And in fact, the Pele, which was written by Rabbi Eliezer Papo, who was in the late 1700s and the early 1800s, he said in those generations, in his time, there are people that are coming to speak unrehearsed. Then what happens? The entire city comes to listen to them, but they lack any logic. That's what Rabbi Eliezer Papo, the Pele is saying. He says, rather, when you're presenting information, present it from published works, from the Sfarim HaKadoshim that we have the Rishonim, we have the Achronim, we have so many Sfarim, so many of source material that's so kadosh. That's what you should go, and that's what you should present. And of course, he says that you have to go based on the Gemara and Avodah Zarah. Based on the Gemara in Megillah, page 15a, that says that a person who says something, you should say in the name of the person that you said it for, because that brings redemption into the world. Unfortunately, in our day and age, and even in those day and age, you have people that go and they present different topics, especially Torah-related topics, that they don't quote, they don't source anything. Many times it's their own interpretation. Many times it's not a problem, because it's based on true Torah sources. It's good Chiddushim. But I shouldn't say many times. Sometimes it's wrong and it's against the Torah. And the power of a chiddush, the power of innovating, the power of presenting something new, for the, based on the Torah. Again, it's not like it's a new concept. We're taking sources from here, and presenting it to apply to something maybe, let's say, in our day and age, for example. Something that, so it's a Chiddush. It's something that is new, but it has to be based off certain sources. This Chiddush aspect is not just for speakers, it's anybody. And the Pele, it's the Nefesh HaChaim will bring about that there's so many sources of how important it is to do that, to actually make Chiddushim, because it has tremendous, tremendous power. Pele says someone who develops new Torah insights, Chiddushim, is considered very, very, very important in Shemayim, very important in heaven. The Zohar, he quotes the Zohar, that it's considered as if you're building new heavens, and you become a partner in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Nefesh HaChaim also brings down in the fourth Shar in the Perek base that it brings down the Chol Shekain Chiddushim amitim, like true Torah innovations, meaning that is developed by people based on true sources. There is no limit to the value of greatness and what effect they have in heaven. It has a tremendous effect. Again, this is for everybody. Anybody that's coming up with a new chiddush, a new innovation that is based on true sources, that it's going to say, okay, listen, I have this verse and this achron, this risha, whatever it is. I heard this class and I heard this class, and I'm combining it together and I'm presenting a new novel idea. That is a tremendous, tremendous power in heaven. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu goes and he takes this, says the Nefesh HaChaim, that for every single word that is innovative from a person's mouth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes it, kisses it, crowns it, builds it new independent worlds. Again, a lot of very Kabbalistic, ideas. In fact, he quotes the Zohar that says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays very, very close attention to those who involve themselves with the Torah. And every word that they innovate from the Torah, it's made into a single heaven, and then the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, again, he takes it and makes it into crowns, and he kisses it and crowns it and makes it more worlds upon more worlds. What is the purpose of all this expounding on the creation of the world and the crowning? It means that it's valued very, 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 very highly in Shemayim, to the point that the Tana Devei Rabbah, in the end of the 10th chapter, says, Ashrei Misha Mischadeshes Divrei Torah al Piv. Praiseworthy, happy is a man that is able, or woman that's able to go and be mischadesh, to innovate Torah on their mouth. And it ends off with saying that from you, ani matzil es Yisrael, I save Klal Yisrael, meaning that it has the ability to protect Klal Yisrael. And again, soon we'll see why we're bringing down these, in the introduction to this, of like arrogance, saving Klal Yisrael, because we'll see on the flip side. But the Pele goes on, and a question came in. I think that it's important just to touch base on that. How does a person know? Maybe they make innovation. How do they know if it's correct? So if they're not on the level, they speak to the rabbi. They speak to a rabbi and say, hey, listen, this is what I came. Am I in the right thought process? Am I in the right path? Is this accurate? And a legitimate rabbi will tell you, that's very interesting, I have to look into it, or that's 100% correct, or no, that's really, really wrong. You're way off track. But sometimes you need to go and you need to ask. So the Pele says the power of this making Chiddush has the ability to rectify every sin. Every sin, especially for the sin of the bris, of wasting seed. The Pele says the reason why is because semen, it emanates from the brain. That's where it starts off, and the spiritual aspect of it. And when somebody goes and is innovating new ideas, they're using the brain and has the ability to rectify every sin, including this most severe sin of wasting seed. So it has a tremendous power, and that's why we tell people, let's say somebody who wants to do tshuva on this sin, one of the things that they need to do is they need to learn more, and they need to increase in their learning, specifically learning things that are harder, more difficult, that you're utilizing your mind, you're sweating over, you're breaking your head over, because that has the power to go and rectify this sin. The Pele goes on and says, furthermore, nowadays, since there's no Beis HaMikdash, there's no temple, so the somebody who goes and records their Torah Chiddushim is considered as if they brought a sacrifice. That's the level of the power that it has. And again, the Pele brings down that a person has to do it according to their level. Everybody's on their level. A person can ask a question and then they can answer it based on whichever level of pardes they are able to answer, whether pshat, remez, drush, or side. But let's say somebody's not on the level. Let's say somebody's not on the level, but they still want to tap into this power of making these chidushei Torah. So the Pele says, if someone doesn't have the capacity to develop new Torah insights, they can rectify it by learning Torah Chiddushim that is already written and printed, meaning you're learning something new that somebody else already wrote and printed. Because this, and it goes even furthermore, even if you go and you learn something that you didn't previously know, it's considered as if you developed that idea because you're developing that idea in your mind. And he goes on and says also it's very important that if someone does have Chiddushim, they should write it down. I tell people all the time that if people come and they bring nice, beautiful Chiddushim, I'm like, write it down. Write it down. It's so great to have this. That's a great Chiddush. That's a great idea. You should write it down. Have a little notebook and write down all your Chiddushim. The Pele says that a person will be judged for not writing down their Torah Chiddushim that were revealed to him, because maybe other people could enjoy from it, maybe other people could gain from it. Okay, so that's a little bit of an introduction that before we get into the into the actual Hayashar. And there's a reason why specifically we spoke about anger. We spoke about creating worlds and about protecting Klal Yisrael, has the ability to save Klal Yisrael, and the benefits of what's making Chiddushim. Because now you're like, okay, everybody wants to jump on the wagon. It has a tremendous spiritual power. There are certain things in that you're able to do spiritually that brings with it tremendous spiritual power. It's think about it like let's say somebody's in business. So there are certain things, certain business investment opportunities that will yield higher results. When a person goes and wants to make the most out of their money, they're going to they have to make the balance, right, by the risk versus the reward. Like how much, but if there's something that's not so risky and it has a tremendous amount of reward, they would obviously jump upon it. So just like in the physical world, we want to go and we want to achieve the most reward possible. We want to achieve the most bang from our buck, as they call it. So too in the spiritual world, there are certain things that have a tremendous spiritual power. Making Chiddushim is one of them. So this is we can begin understanding the Hayashar. So the Hayashar in the 4th chapter quotes, first of all, it starts off quoting the Zohar in Parshas Bereishis, that if a person goes through a path of innocence, of righteousness, of tzidkus, and he serves the Kadosh Baruch Hu with all their heart, with all their might, and they study Torah with pure motives, very important, pure motives, and they reveal true insights according to their intellect, based on, obviously, clear and true foundations, and they're extremely careful that there's no doubt or falsehood with it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu rejoices, God rejoices greatly with this. And each and every insight, this is what the Hayashar brings down, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu kisses it, crowns it, creates from it a new heaven, a new earth, and continually watches over him, by the means of it. One of the reasons the Hayashar brings down, so that there's certain angels that shouldn't be jealous because of what this person just did. This person just created worlds, literally, like we can't even begin to comprehend like the value of this. And so God watches over this. But says the Hayashar, this is only if they didn't become conceited, if they didn't become arrogant over their learning and their Chiddushei Torah. That a human has to be very, very humble in this world in matters of Torah, in matters of everything, but specifically Torah. That a person, says the Hayashar, through their pride can destroy the world. That is the detrimental effects that it could have. Why? Because arrogance in Torah would cause somebody to produce fake Chiddushim. It will be able to produce things that are not based on reality. It's fake. It's interpretations of the Torah based for glorifying, a person, himself. Like I was thinking about, like what's different reasons why people might want to make a fake chiddush. Why would people want to make a fake insight? So it could be because they want to stand out. You want to be a little bit different. You want to be innovative. You want to be new. So you come and you stand, that you stand out in some sort of a new idea. It could be another reason that they want to try to be more relevant to modern times. They could be based off just a misunderstanding. Or it could be they have a specific agenda. They want to push a specific agenda and they adjust the Torah interpretations to whatever their different agenda is. It could also be pressure from the community. If let's say you have a rabbi that's leading a more modern community, and the president and board goes and tells the rabbi, we want to go this way, and the rabbi doesn't want to lose a job, and the rabbi starts, thinking, okay, maybe we could do this way, starts innovating different things to go and match what the people want. And this is unfortunate. Again, not judging anybody, but it's very unfortunate, because now day and age, especially this is what it says before Mashiach comes, is the rabbi doesn't lead the congregation leads the rabbi. Meaning the rabbi says something, they look back and be like, you like that? Yeah, okay, good. Let's continue with that. They pay the salary, whatever the reason is. These are just some reasons why some people can come to conclusions, to new Torah insights that are not based on true Torah values. So the Hayashar goes on and brings down a Zohar in Bereshis that somebody who goes and creates Torah based on a false premise, making a fake chiddush, fake speakers, whatever you want to call them. These words of vanity, they come out to the Samach Mem. The Samach Mem is one of the names of the Satan, the Satan. This angel comes and takes it, and now he is able to create with them a heaven, a firmament, and that this heaven is called Tahu. It's called chaos, and this, once it's established, he brings, again, Kabbalistic concepts. He brings his female counterpart. I'm not supposed to say her name, Lith. If you want to, that's her, her name, and she goes out and meets them, and with this, that once you have this created in the spiritual realm, you have tens of thousands of destroyers, these angelic demon-like creatures that are not good, let's just call them. They have the ability to go and go throughout the entire world in an entire moment. Meaning there is a lot of bad things that happen in the spiritual realm, which will eventually, trickle down to the physical realm by producing these fake Chiddushim. This, as the Hayashar, is the same category of people who put themselves as halachic authorities. They're not yet qualified in issuing rulings, and they issue these halachic rulings, and this causes terrible, terrible decrees to fall on Klal Yisrael. Says the Hayashar, this causes a lot of bad things to happen to the entire Jewish nation. And all this is brought upon because people that are issuing rulings before they are qualified to do so, or they reveal insights on the Torah based on a false premise. A very, very scary thing. This reason Rabbi Shem Bar Yochai tells, this is in the Zohar as well, tells his students, make sure that you do not allow out of your mouth words of Torah that you do not learn or do not hear from a great scholar, so that you will not incite the Satan and his wife to bring upon the slaughter, the killing of Jewish people. So we see over here that it's a crazy, like most people wouldn't even think this would be one of the reasons why a lot of tragedies befall on Klal Yisrael. And the Hayashar speaks about it. It says in these generations, which is again the early 1700s, he said you had many speakers. They deliver public lectures, and it's based upon false premise, ideas that are not clear. They blind the eyes of the population over there, and they receive the praise and the glory. You speak very nice. You speak very eloquently. You know how to present the ideas. You say great stories. Whatever it is, they get all the praises, but they don't know that they're bringing a tremendous amount of evil decrees that the Hayashar brings down over here. And the Hayashar says these darshanim, these speakers, are not going to merit hearing Torah insights from after in the future when Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to speak about Torah insights again. And the end of the fourth Perek over there speaks about what Kadosh Baruch Hu, the insights on in Gan Eden, and there's going to be the stars and the suns and the moons on one side, and the crazy Kabbalistic things. But we're going to move on just because I want to get to a particular point. So we see over here that a person has to be very, very careful to say true Torah insights. We see the benefits of saying Torah, this, but just like anything in life, the benefit, the greater the benefit, also the greater the potential tragedy or destruction that can come out, from it. But one thing that we can learn from it, this has nothing to do with speakers, this has to do with every single one of us, how important it is that we strive for truth, that we strive to go into something that is truthful and based off the correct path that we are supposed to go and travel on. In this place called Earth, the day and age that we live in, there's a lot of fakeness in this. There's, it used to be the politicians, those are the ones fake. Then it was the media. And then it was the social media, which means it ends up being every single person. I can't tell you how many people, have spoken to me about, person that they were dating, and the picture had nothing to resemble from the person that they actually met. The picture looked like one thing, and then they ended up going out with Tyrannosaurus Rex. And then they were like, I don't know if I should feed it, grass, or, like terrible, like the fakeness that is out in the world is really problematic. But this produces a fakeness in all areas, including spirituality, including relationships, including so many things, and how careful we have to be to strive for the truth. And that brings me to the point that I wanted to speak about, and I think that's a good example in describing this, is that is a movement called Open Orthodoxy. Open Orthodoxy is a new movement, new-ish, let's call a movement. It's a term that was coined by a person by the name of Avi Weiss in 1997, and he broke away from a more modern Orthodox upbringing, and he created this movement called Open Orthodoxy. So Open Orthodoxy, they have their own school, their own yeshiva, they have their own smicha program, their own views on Torah, on halacha, and ashkafa. More recently, they started also producing tshuvot. Tshuvot is it's when you have a posek that says, oh, this is a chiddush in this day and age, right? So you have this issue, this contemporary issue. I'm going to base my ruling, and again, based off sources. This is the ruling that you're allowed to do based on, there's whatever, just one example of a tshuva. But these are people that were never recognized as poskim. They were never part of a bezdin. They do not have a backing of any posek, but they take upon themselves to paskin for the tzipor. They take upon themselves to produce rulings for and they have rulings on things from conversions to eruvin to kashrus to yichud. They have all over. They have so many the Chiddushim that they bring down. And if you read it, if let's say you go, and I went through some of them, you read it, if you're not like really well versed in it, you think, okay, it makes sense. They bring this source and they bring that source and they source everything, but they manipulate it. They change it in the way that they present it to match what they want to come out. And we're going to give, a few examples. So, in general, when you're looking at this movement, it very much resembles on how conservative movements started. But the danger over here is that it's called orthodox. It's called open, but it's called orthodox. So I want to share with you some ideas, some things that they came out with that is obviously very wrong. And this is from the graduates of this school of Open Orthodoxy that come out, as rabbis. And this is what they came out with. I'm not going to name all the rabbis that came over there, but this is where some of the some of the points that come out gives you an understanding on their thought process and how they produce these types of Chiddushim. So the Rambam writes that if somebody claims that even one letter of the Torah is not from God, they're considered a kofar. That's a really, really, really bad thing. They're considered a kofar, a denier of the Torah, no share the world, whatever. There's a whole long list of bad things. One of the rabbis, rabbi, not a graduate of one of the rabbis, claims that the Torah had multiple authors. Not that it comes from heaven, but Torah had multiple authors. It goes on and continues and says that Adam and Chava, the flood, the Tower of Babel, Yetzias Mitzrayim, the journey through the desert, Yeshua's conquest, all that, all fictional, all made up, all made up. And again, this is completely against the Rambam. The Rambam again writes in the 12th principle of faith that you have to believe that Mashiach will come. There's a rabbi from this, from this school that says no, Mashiach does not have to be a person. And in fact, building of the third Beis Hamikdash is of little importance. And he goes on even further, saying the Jews are better off in exile. Things that are completely opposite to what true Judaism is. And in fact, there was one of the rabbis over there goes and says that whether or not that God wrote the Torah is irrelevant. I mean, how is that irrelevant? What are the foundation is? This is the Torah that we got from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it goes even further. It says that there's no proof that God exists. You begin to understand this is a rabbi that looks like a rabbi. Where's one of these guys, right? Where's a yarmulke on his head, may or may not have a beard, going and saying that, oh yeah, there's no proof that God exists. Like, what are you preaching? What's the spirituality that you're preaching? And in fact, they go on and say that it's not required to believe that the Torah is divine. Let's move on. The third principle of faith, that God has no physical characteristics. That's the third principle of faith from the Rambam. Any reference that we have a lot of references in the Torah that speak about that, God's, physicality is only a metaphor. It's only so that the people will be able to understand God's nature. And a famous example of this is Shmini Atzeres. So Shmini Atzeres, Rashi writes this down. Again, and this is the last day of Sukkot is Shmini Atzeres. And this is comparable, a very famous mashal, we spoke about this, that it's a king who invited all his children for a feast. And the children were about to leave. And the king says, do me a favor, stay one more day. It's hard for me, stay one more day. And the explanation of this is very simple, very straightforward. And Rashi explained, is that God's love of the Jewish people says, okay, I want you to stay one more day. We gave a whole, long, answer on this when we spoke about, the topic on Sukkot. I believe I spoke about it online. I think I did. But in any case, this is the interpretation that aligns with the Rambam, that God's love for the Jewish people, and that's why it says that it's hard for God that the Jewish people would leave. Again, this is a metaphor. This is how we understand. We can relate to understanding God's characteristic. Let's look at what the rabbis from this from this organization, from YCT, what they say. They say that no, this shows you God is lonely. This is how they come, the chutzpah that these people have. God is lonely. And really, they go on and say, God needs us, because they're lonely and God needs us. And they go on further, it says, God has issues. Like all of us, God has issues. We need God, God needs us. Terrible, like these things that are like completely against the Torah, completely against whatever. It gets me very frustrated when I read things like this. There was one of the directors of their spiritual development in the school that claims that humans have the ability to teach God. Again, what is God for these people? But the problem is that it's not a reform movement. It's not a conservative movement. It's what they claim to be an Orthodox movement. They go further and they say, that Avram really failed his final test, or really it was God who failed the test. There's one I didn't call him graduate, I guess, of this school that said that why does God test? He said why did God test Abraham? It was a sport that God was into, and then he realized he wasn't so good at that sport. Like the kfira, it's better that you don't do anything, go home, throw your yarmulke away. You're doing so much worse right now from what they're doing. They go and they change the prayers. They remove certain things. To give you an example on the thought process on how they work. So we all know same-gender marriages is forbidden by the Torah. Same-gender relationships are forbidden by the Torah. Right? This is straight out, not secretly, right in the open in Leviticus chapter 18, verse 22. It's considered a ta'eva, an abomination. In 1985, the Reform movement came out that they could not participate in the same-gender marriage. That was in 1985. In the year 2000, the attitude in America shifted. So the Reform movement reversed its position and now permitted that the rabbis officiate such weddings. In 1997, when this movement started, when Open Orthodoxy started, this, same-gender marriage was not widely accepted. So the head rabbi of this movement said, he opposed the Reform movement. The Reform is such a liberal views. Yet, that same rabbi in 2015 openly supported the legalization of this type of marriage. And in fact, in June 2015, June 26, 2015, the Supreme Court ruled in a 5-4 decision that you're allowed to marry the same gender. You know what the Open Orthodox reaction was? They quoted a pasuk from Bereshis chapter 2 verse 18. Lo toiv es adam levada. It's not good for a man to be alone. Mazel Tov America. That's what they posted. Mazel Tov America. The chutzpah that these people have. The way that they work is that the halachic conclusion, if it comes into conflict with their own set of values, feelings, beliefs, or whatever, they could. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to remain loyal to halacha, meaning that if, let's say, I have a certain value of belief, and that's what I want to present, but halacha says something else, it's irrelevant what my thoughts are, what my feelings are, what my beliefs are. I got to bend towards halacha, and that's what stands. That's what is supposed to stand. That one's personal set of values cannot be a factor in determining the halacha. But by open orthodoxy, it's the other way around. Halacha does not dictate on how one should act. Rather, how one acts determines the halacha. They first decide how to act, and then they plug it into the halacha. So they make the innovation, and then they fit the halacha around it. The example that is given is an example of, like there was some person that wanted to donate a cover for the Sefer Torah. And, when the rabbi tried to put on the cover of the Sefer Torah, it was very short. So the man responded, no problem, just cut the Torah and it will fit inside, like a Sodom thing, right? You're fitting and sleeping in a bed. If your feet are too long or too short, we'll either stretch you or we'll cut you down. We'll fit you to that. That's a twisted, way to think about things. And this is the way that the movement is going. And by the way, while we're speaking about this, it is important to know that a lot of this information regarding this was written by somebody named Rabbi David Rosenthal. He went and he did tremendous amount of research on this open orthodoxy. He has a whole book if anybody wants to read it. Again, if you want to go more in depth, it's called "Why Open Orthodoxy Is Not Orthodox." So there's a lot where a lot of this particular information came from. So in any case, moving along, just to explain, how twisted this method of reasoning is, and how far they strayed from the correct Torah path, and how it's all fake Chiddushim, all very, very problematic, and will bring a tremendous amount of suffering upon the Jewish people. Rahman al-Litzlan, it shouldn't happen, and really this whole movement should stop. Eventually it will die out, but I'm saying it should stop, and it should stop fast. But just to give you more of an understanding, on June 17, 2015, there was a mass shooting in a church in Charleston, South Carolina, where a white supremacist came in the middle of Bible study and, shot up a bunch of people. Now, again, this is a deplorable act. Nobody is happy about this. This is, from a Jewish standpoint, from a North, it's irrelevant. It was a very, very bad and devastating thing, and the whole situation was very, very bad in everyone's eyes. But this particular group came out and says, you want to be Mekadesh Shem Shemaim. Kiddush Hashem is one of the greatest things, right? You want to be Mekadesh Shem Shemaim. You know what you need to do? These rabbis came out and they said you have to donate money to rebuild the church. And this is a tshuva that they wrote, and they bring sources. And if you don't know it, you might think, okay, well, it looks legit. So they bring a source from Moshe Feinstein. And Moshe Feinstein rules that an architect can draw up plans for construction of a church. That the reason, really, if you look into it, the reason is that if a person will lose money, from this, and this is his business and needs the money, then he's able to do it. Again, this is a very practical question, because some people deal with jewelry, some people deal with watches, and they have jewelry or watches that they're making. Let's say it's a cross or a watch that has, some sort of religious symbol. Are you allowed to delve in that type of business? Are you not allowed to delve in that type of business? Again, you have to ask your local Orthodox rabbi, but this is, questions that came up. So this one particular rabbi takes this tshuva from Moshe Feinstein and, puts it inside. He says, okay, you see over here, we're allowed to go and we're allowed to donate money. And in fact, he doesn't quote that Moshe never allowed the Jews to donate money. In fact, even the architectural aspect, he said that it's frowned upon. It shouldn't be done, but whatever. If it needs to be done for certain reasons for parnassa, you're allowed to do it. But Moshe Feinstein explicitly forbids donating money to a church in a different tshuva. But did they bring that down? No, they omitted it. They picked and choose like a buffet table. I'm going to take this, I'm going to take that, and they created their own chiddush. They went even further and they flew down there and they participated in the church Bible study class. And one of the rabbis said, I felt uneasy about this, but I realized that this is a holy place. So I understand, and everybody understands. You want to show solidarity, and you want to people that experience a tragedy. Why do you have to join their study in their church? Why do you have to call their church a holy place? This is, they reject the Jewish faith. They call, it's avodah zarah according to most opinions. There's one thing, and it doesn't stop over there. They co-sponsor what is called the Elijah Interfaith Institute, where they have participants study Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism. So they have, according to some, avodah zarah. According to most, Islam's not avodah zarah. Hinduism and Buddhism, all avodah zarah. So this is what idolatry. This is one of the worst yavar that you're not supposed to go into it. But they do these joint religious things, and it's not. They do this in all different ways. They had one particular joint religious ventures, let's call it, with missionaries. So they bring these missionaries into their, into their congregation, and you're bringing the people that want to take you away from religion and put you into avodah zarah, and that's why you're bringing in. And to take matters even a step further, which is, I believe, is a step further, because a missionary, okay, they're Christian, but they bring reform and conservatives to speak. They give them platforms, to speak in the thing. So we can see how twisted it is, and how it starts in one particular way, and it very quickly moves forward. It's very similar to the way the conservative movement started, but the question they have to ask is, so why are they calling it Orthodox? Open Orthodoxy, call it reform. When reform came into play, you knew exactly what you were getting into. Reform, they're changing it. Conservative, okay, so they broke off from the reform and they wanted to make it a little bit more to the right. But why call it Orthodoxy? And the reason is because conservative and reform is ideologically bankrupt. At one point, the reform movement and the conservative movement were so strong that everybody thought that Orthodox is going to die out. Only reform and conservative is going to be around, especially in America. But over time, you see that the fakeness dies out. People are after truth. The fakeness dies out, and people, stem to whatever is going truth. So now, what this new movement, new-ish movement, they want brand recognition. Orthodox is brand recognition. Reform and conservative is a dying breed. It's not going to last. People are either going to move away or become Orthodox, or they're going to assimilate and they're going to be done, unfortunately. So they go and they present themselves as Orthodox. They'll come in from a yeshiva. They got smicha. They have that. And if you go to, unfortunately, certain modern, places, they won't know. They see a rabbi. They're looking for a rabbi to fill in a position. And this guy comes in. He's very charismatic. He knows how to speak well. Brings us in the sources very well, could be a very smart, charming guy, but he comes from this open Orthodoxy background, and they're going to spew ideas that are against the Torah, that are against it. It's a very, very dangerous movement, and this is something they have rabbis all around the world. So. Not only that, they also, some of them have educational positions. They teach in Orthodox schools, or they teach in college campuses. Again, this is more a problem in the modern world. But again, this is a very, very big problem. But this is where you have someone that takes a chiddush. That's how it starts off. You take a chiddush and you twist it, and it becomes fake. And it expands it into another, and then one thing leads into another. You have a completely different movement. And we saw what the Hayashar says in the 4th chapter, and how detrimental it is to the entire Klal Yisrael when somebody goes and produces these fake Chiddushim. It causes tremendous amount of suffering upon Klal Yisrael. So they have these people that think they're innovative, that think that they're producing good things. Again, there could be whatever reason that they're thinking, but they are causing tremendous amount of issues in the spiritual realm and potentially in the physical realm as well. Hopefully not. Hopefully they'll do tshuva, and hopefully they'll mend their ways. But we see over here, you go into the 4th chapter of the Hayashar. It speaks, okay, think about Chiddushim and that. There's so many layers to this, and it's not only for the speakers. It's not who you're speaking to, who you hanging around with. Are you dealing with truth? Are you dealing with something that comes based off a source of something, or it's just based off things that people make up and be like, oh yeah, I like this thing, so I'm going to say, okay, we have to accept everybody. We're very much influenced by our society. We're very much influenced by our surroundings. What is okay now was not okay 20 years ago. I remember growing up, you see two men walking down the street holding hands. You didn't see that. It was like now they throw parades for these types of people. So even though, like, the Orthodox, you don't look at, that's not something but it seeps in slowly. And people start making Chiddushim, and they start and everybody goes and justifies their thought process, and what's wrong is wrong and what's right is right. So this is an extreme example, but each and every single one of us do it to a different level. We do it to a different level on our own level. Maybe hopefully we're not in that level, but maybe in the way that we dress, and maybe in the way that we speak, and maybe in the way that we learn, and maybe the way that we hang out, and maybe the way that we do certain things. Like, there are certain things that the truth to it falls apart because we have an idea and we justify it, we rationalize it, and we come to a certain conclusion. Here we see how important it is to strive for the truth. So there's a few questions that came in. We're going to go through quickly with the questions, and then we'll end off with a kapitel tehillim that we usually do. So first question that came in is, how does one know if he made a correct chiddush? That is something that they should really speak to a rabbi. If they're not sure, be like, hey, this is what I was thinking about. What is is this on the right path or not? Okay, next question. What about guiding someone who's a Bali Tshuva and you help your friend keep Shabbos better? Is that also powerful? I'm saying this from a female perspective because I think only rabbi write Chiddushim. First of all, anybody could write a Chiddush. There's many Rebbitzins that wrote books that are phenomenal. For example, Rebbitzin Feldbrand is a very good writer, writes very well. There's plenty of Torah that's out there. You have all these teachers in seminaries and high schools that they produce beautiful Torah for their students. So, but in any case, guiding someone who's a Baal Tshuva, you're helping people. That's huge. You're helping somebody come closer to the truth. That is an extremely powerful thing. Okay. Oh, here's the last thing. Okay, I heard about that fake rabbi my friend saved my... Oh, Baruch Hashem. Okay, I don't know which rabbi you're referring to, but yeah, you have to very much stay away from it. There are certain speakers, unfortunately, that come up. Again, most of them are not like most of them that I've come across, but every so often someone comes and they say something and you're like, wait, what? Like they say something completely wrong, completely out of left field, and they can be very popular. You have to be very careful, who you listen to. And when you say, one of the things that I like about, one of the many things that I love about Torah anytime is that they're careful of who's on there. And if somebody is not up to par, then they speak to them, they speak to rabbis, and eventually, if the person is not up to par, they remove that person from that speaking base. Okay, does that mean that everybody? No, maybe somebody whatever. But like, there is some sort of method that they're trying to keep everything 100% kosher. Can you have over 1,000 rabbis? It has a lot, but again, they work very hard to make sure that everything is authentic, everything is real, and everything is true. So in any case, it is very, very important that also the people that you listen to, make sure that you listen to someone that's normal, not someone who's, some conspiracy theorist that all they speak about, or they make up all of these Chiddushim on the Torah, and they go and they present these far-fetched left ideas, and they present it that it's really okay, and they have all these ways. Again, for most people, if you're able to be charismatic enough, if you're able to go, you're able to go and convince somebody, of whatever. If you give me a topic, I could almost guarantee that I could go and figure out a way to show you how it's, it's okay. You bring a verse over here, but you only translate some of the verse. You bring over here, and there you go. You make believe like that's really what the Torah is. And these are people that are not true, not to themselves and not to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why you have to also make sure that when you're listening to somebody, you have to listen to someone who's a Yirei Shamayim, has fear of heaven. But again, this is a very heavy topic, a topic that's very, very important, but a topic that is constantly has to be reviewed, not only for who you listen to and all the rabbis and the speakers, but really for yourself, that you should strive for the truth, you should strive for emes, and you should strive to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu through the right way. We'll say a kapitel tehillim for Eretz Yisrael, for entire Klal Yisrael, and then we will close it off. Okay. As usual, we say Kapitel Kuf Lamed, chapter 130. Shir HaMalais Mima Makim Karasicha Adonai Adonai Shema B'Koili Tiyanaz Necha Kashuv V'Is L'Kol Tachanunai Im Avoinais Tishmar Ya Adonai Mihi Amoid Ki imcha aslicha leman divarei Kivisi Adonai kif so nafshi v'lidivarai ha'icholti nafshi l'Adonai mishamim l'abaiker shoymim l'abaiker yachal Yisrael l'Adonai ki ma'Adonai yachesed v'arbehem ha'ifedus v'hu yiftes Yisrael mikol avanesav achenu kol beis Yisrael hanesunim batzara v'ashivya ha'imden bein bayam u'bein bayabasha ha'makim yirachem aleim v'yatzir mitzara l'irvacham v'afela l'ara u'mishiba l'gula hashta bagala bezman kariv v'namar amen. Okay, we have one more thing over here. Is there any way to get an English translation of the Mishnah learning with Me'ei Masai? Yes, thank you for bringing that up. We are working on it. It's going to be hopefully in the next few days when you sign up. In the emails, it will be English and Hebrew. Right now, it's just Hebrew, but it's going to be English and Hebrew very soon. Eretz Hashem, we're working on it with the developer. There is also we teamed up with Ol Mishnah, which is an OU organization. That if you click that link, it has the English there also. But we'll Eretz Hashem have that also in the email in the coming, hopefully in the coming days. Be'ezras Hashem. Okay, thank you all for joining. Again, as a reminder for everybody that has the ability to do and wants to do a tremendous chus, join and sign up to me'emasai.org to learn a Mishnah. Even if it's a Mishnah a day, it could be less than 30 seconds a day. It'll be very, very quick. Additionally, anybody that wants to join our classes, reach out to me at rabbizitron@torahanytime.com. And finally, anybody that I know, I saw Shira, you posted, so thank you. I'll reach out to you. Anybody that because we would want more than one person to be able to go and clip classes, please reach out to me as well. Thank you all and have an amazing, 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 amazing week.